Solar power stations, they can be pretty handy, but you got to have the right connector to hook to your solar panel. Otherwise, they're pretty much useless. Like you saw the other day in my last video, I didn't have the right connector, so I couldn't hook the solar panel to my power station. So we're going to take a closer look at some of these units and see what connectors they use, and just do a general talk about different connectors and different solar panel connectors. So stay tuned. Alright, welcome back. The first group we're going to talk about are going to be like the AccuPower, PowerZeus 500, the GoLabs R300, and the little GoLabs R150, which is kind of a misnomer. It's actually a 160 watt unit, but they call it an R150. Of course, the 300 is 300 watt, AccuPower is 500 watt. When you buy these, you'll generally get the connectors that you need. This one comes with your little power brick. You plug that into the wall. You can use it to charge your unit. It also comes with a car adapter. You plug in the cigarette lighter. All of these are going to be 5521s, which is a 5.5 millimeter. If we can get this to focus, 5.5 millimeter outside diameter and a 2.1 millimeter inside diameter. And because of that, this can plug into all of these on the input, if you see. So if you got 5521 adapters, it'll work on all of these. An easy way to do that, which I've been using, is this cable here, which has 4 different adapters. It does have an Anderson connector, which is what our panels had the other day. And I use these little vacuum plugs to kind of just keep these clean and safe. You can get these little vacuum plugs at any auto parts store. But on these, you'll have your 5521, which, like I said, 5.5 by 2.1 internal diameter. You have your 5525, which looks really similar, but if we can zoom in, you'll see it's a little larger internal diameter. It's a 2.5 instead of a 2.1. You got your 7.9 by 0.3, which they call this 8 millimeter normally, but it's a 7.9. And see that little pin in there? That's a 0.3 millimeter pin. And there's a few units that use 8s. And then you have an aviation connector, which is not all that common. I have seen some units that use that. And what I needed the other day for that solar panel, which we'll set this right here, was one of these guys. And I actually had one of these guys. It's an Anderson to an MC4 connector. Most of your rigid solar panels are going to be using the MC4. That's kind of become the standard now. They had an older MC3, which is a multi-connector 3 millimeter, MC4 multi-connector 4 millimeter, and these are waterproof connections. 99% chance if you have solar panels on your roof, they're using MC4 connectors. Of course, here's your Anderson connector we saw the other day. And that's used in some power stations. So a lot of them, you'll get an Anderson connector. And of course, we do have the XT60, which we're kind of jumping ahead, but I just wanted to show these real quick. XT60, I ordered this. It was supposed to be a 5521. It's not. It's a 5525, and I labeled it. But it's an adapter, so now I can use one of these multi-connectors and use the 5525 here, plug it in, and then go from that Anderson panel and plug it into my XT60. But there's a bunch of different connectors that are being used, and just to go over a few of them real quick, 5521s, and then you do have 5525s, which if I grab them, get this, 5525s, and that has MC4, so I can hook that into any of my solid solar panels. You have the Anderson, which my latest unit come with MC4 and an Anderson connector. Like I said, you got your 8mm, which a few units use, but a lot more of them have been going to the Anderson as of late. We can go ahead and these are all 5521s. This actually has the cigarette lighter plug. Because this one doesn't, but it does have a DC out, they do give you a cigarette lighter plug with it. You can plug in and use it. I use this one to charge my phone a lot. I'll take it outside, charge it up on the weekend, and then I can run my phone all week and charge it with that. So basically I'm getting free charging on my phone. So let me put a couple other units up here and we'll look at them. Okay, here's my other two units that I have. Of course, I got the CN505. This is the one by Vibin, but FF Power and Ucatel also have the same unit. It's just named differently. This one is a little bit odd because it takes 5525, which you're going to have a little bit larger internal, and that'll plug in up here. If you see, let me grab a 5521, show you real quick. Of course, here's a splitter cable I bought. This is a 5525, or 5521 rather, and it looks similar, but it's not going to plug in. That inner pin is going to be too large. So even though the outside is going to be the same, you're not going to plug this cable into that. So I mean, that's something you need to think about when you're getting these, is compatibility. And like I said, fortunately, this cable here gives me the 5525, and like I said, the 21 ain't going to work. You go with the 25, plugs right in. So that makes that work. On this guy, like we saw, which is the All Powers, the R600, we'll pop the door open. And like we saw on this is using kind of a newer style. It's using these XT60s. Plugs right in, which I guess XT60 has been popular with a lot of like RC cars and stuff. They're starting to move this over to the power stations now. I noticed there's quite a few other power stations with XT60. Fortunately, they do give you a cable that you can hook to your MC4, to your solar panels. They give you your charging cable, which as you saw, there's no power brick that goes with that. Like with this one, you have this big power brick you got to carry around. On this unit, it's internal, and there's a lot of them that are starting to do that. They're putting it internal, so you don't have all this massive power brick. They do not give you a car charging plug, which for me, I mean, that's not a huge deal. I have car charging plugs from other units that'll work with this, but I rarely would ever charge one of these from a car. Normally, if I'm going to charge it, it's going to be from solar. So that's just a few of the different plugs. If you get one of these, you're probably going to have, 5521, 5525, XT60 now, or like I said, a lot of them 8mm. Here's a cable from another power station I had. It's Anderson, and it has an 8mm adapter. Of course, that's a 5521 there, but I did get an 8mm adapter because I did have a station that used that, but I did send it back. It really wasn't that good. You do get, like I showed, the little splitter cables. You can get larger splitter cables So I can do 2 Anderson panels and run them through here, have one output to an Anderson, or one output into 2 Anderson. So these splitter cables can be real handy. There's a cable I do have on order, and we'll pull up my phone, see if we can get this to focus. This is going to be a cool cable. It's going to have your Anderson, your XT60, your 7.9 by 0.09, which I guess that's 0.09, not 0.03. It'll have a 6530, which would be 6.5 by 3.0. It'll have a 3.5 by 1.35, which is going to be that little one right there next to the Anderson. I don't think I've ever seen a power station that took that. And it'll have a 5521, which is probably one of your more common. But yeah, that's kind of a cool cable that I should be getting Thursday. And this will work with a variety of power stations that I have. Just like this multi-cable here. It works with a variety of power stations. And of course, with my adapter, I can go ahead and do my Anderson connection to my MC4, so I can hook it into my solar panels. So that's not an issue. But yeah, you do need these adapters. One other quick thing, I do have a power brick for my refrigerators, the portable, but you also, if you see this kind of plug, kind of a 90-degree, that's for your 12-volt refrigerators, and this plugs into your cigarette lighter in your vehicle, so you can keep that refrigerator going. Now let's go ahead and we'll look at some solar panels real quick and just kind of show a few different varieties that you're going to get on your solar panels. Okay, the first panel we're going to take a look at is my 100-watt NECTEC, and this would be the same for that HQST. As you can see on this one, we do have our MC4 connectors. So anything you have a connector for that's going to adapt this to your power station, you'd be good to go. You wouldn't have to worry, since most of the power stations will come with your MC4 adapter. That makes this a pretty straightforward setup. You just take the connector that they give you, you plug it into the MC4, and then you plug it into your unit and you're good to go. Next we have the Dokia 160-watt panel. It's a little bit odd because it has what's called an SAE connector, and this style of connector is more of an automotive connector. You're not going to find it on a lot of solar panels. I'm not sure why they decided to go with that, but they do give you your SAE to XT60, which that came in handy, and then also you get an XT60, the male, that'll plug in here, and it converts it over to your 5521. So you're good to go for the majority of power stations that are 5521. Something else really cool is you have this battery connector that goes from your panels and from this into this little charge controller. And what you can do, you plug your panel in here, you put in your battery cable here, and it'll convert this over to 12 volts. So if you need to charge a battery, you're good to go. So say you're out and your battery dies in your car or your Jeep or whatever truck, and you need to charge it, plug in your panel, hook this up, hook it to your battery connectors. You can charge your battery with this. So it makes it real handy. They do give you a lot of nice things with these Dokia panels. Even though it's kind of a non-standard SAE connector, they do give you the stuff you need to get it hooked up. Finally, we have that Zumbros panel that I needed an adapter for. You can see it is Anderson, which some of your power stations will actually take Anderson directly in. If not, you'll need to get your Anderson to MC4 adapter, or like with this multi-cord that I have, it goes from Anderson and it'll do your 5521, 5525, 8mm, and the less popular aviation connector. So if I would have had this or this, I could have adapted it over and used it, but they were hooked on some other panels, so I didn't have those at my disposal at the moment. But yeah, just you got to make sure that you're going to get your panel configured to fit your power station. Aside from like voltage and amperage, you know, you gotta worry about the connection. In other words, you're not getting anything through to the power station. So I hope you found this video helpful. If you have any questions, post them down in the comments. I'll try and answer them best I can. It's like I always say, either we stand up for our rights or we can sit by and watch them go away. Y'all have an awesome rest of the day. Tennessee Frank out of here.